All right, it looks like we're live. We'll give a few minutes to see if anybody pops into the stream. Hopefully we'll have some people. And I need to make sure that I mute myself on the other side so that I don't hear myself talking like 10 seconds later. Okay, so while we're waiting, I will work on getting a few more things set up. Oh, looks like YouTube has a few fairly decent options. See if anyone has responded yet. The plus side of having this recorded is I can delete the empty parts at the beginning. While I'm fiddling around with things, if anyone does come in to the book club stream here, please do feel free to speak up in the chat. And since I'm doing a hangout, if anyone that has listened to the audiobook would like to join in, I can actually invite you to the hangout. It can be just audio, or it could even be video too, if you would like. Finally managed to get this working, so it's still a bit of a work in progress, shall we say. Come on. There we are. Oh, 3 people watching now. Nice. Marcus Shaw, hello and welcome to the stream. Just sort of getting a few things lined up right now. I'm hoping to, excuse me, hoping to get this running, and we'll really get into, the actual book club element of all this. But just out of curiosity, did you have a chance to listen to The Forever Trap? Because if so, if you would like, you could join the Hangout. Otherwise, definitely feel free to stay in the chat. And let me know if I tested this out before the stream started, so I think the audio levels are okay, but if you have any trouble hearing me, definitely let me know. Is there anything else? Close a few tabs here. I've only watched the newer Doctor Who TV series so far. Sorry, but I'm following your YouTube channel so that you are streaming live. Yes, yes, that's absolutely true. And uh, I'm glad you're following the channel. Thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying the videos that you might have checked out. Just so you know, for this book club, I am going to be talking about a Doctor Who audiobook. So if you would like to become a part of the book club, I'm going to try and make it a monthly thing and set up a schedule. I have a rough idea of what I would like to do, and I'll mention at the end of the stream. But the downside is if you're watching this and you stick around, there's going to be a lot. I mean, there's going to be a ton of spoilers. Like probably the entire story will get spoiled for you. So as long as that's not a big deal, definitely stick around. But if you would like to check out the Forever Trap, the audiobook, and you don't want the spoilers, as much as I would love for you to stay, I would recommend waiting to watch this until later, and then maybe join in on a future book club. I've heard about them, and I'm certainly going to check them out. Okay, good. And one thing just to let you know is that, and I'm wanting to do this with every book club, is that especially when it comes to getting audiobooks through the website Audible, every book club I'm going to do a giveaway at the end of a free audiobook, and that free audiobook will be the next coming book. And I figure that's a good forget spoilers in within a week anyway, but so probably should. Yeah, I really am sorry to say that, but I will say this: the Forever Trap is a good story. I don't want to go into full details until I really start getting things going with this, but it is definitely a good story. If you would like to stick around, or maybe just come back in near the end, again, I'm going to do the live stream, or I'm sorry, I'm going to do a giveaway, and might be able to join in on the next one. So let me know. Okay, so we have 3 watching right now. I have a few friends I'm going to notify just to let them know this is starting. Definitely hoping to get some user interaction in on this, and ideally, like I said, since it's a hangout, hopefully get some other people that have watched the stream, or that listened to the audiobook in on this. But if not, and it's just me, okay, hopefully you'll get some more people in here who've heard the audiobook. Greetings from Germany. Hello from the US to Germany. See you next time. Yes, again, I'm sorry to say that, because I definitely do want as many people here as possible, but if you're interested in checking out the audiobooks, I don't want to ruin the story for people. So yeah, but I will see you later. And again, thank you for joining, and thank you for following the channel. It means a lot. Okay, now that I've sent out a couple of messages, let me double check Twitter real quick to see if anyone's responded. Of course, I picked a time of day where, who knows, maybe a lot of people just won't be able to join. And that is perfectly fine. Might actually be a good idea for me to ask if like a different time or day would actually work better for people. Because I figure, end of the week would be a good time. But, that works well for me, just off the top of my head. Ciao. I am so glad I got this thing working to where it doesn't just it won't randomly freeze on me, and I can have multiple things going on this computer at a time. Move this over here real quick and check the... Okay, well, YouTube live stream is just being weird. So, all right. Well, to whoever the other viewer is currently, thank you for being here. I can only assume that the primary viewer is probably me because I have a window open on the stream. So if you're here and you either just don't feel like or don't want to speak up, that's perfectly fine. But I will repeat this throughout as I notice hopefully more people coming in. But if you're interested at all, Jill just got home, and joining in on this book club aspect, because I'm essentially going to be reviewing the Forever Trap, but I would definitely love to have some of you join in on the hangout here. Again, it doesn't have to be through camera, like you don't have to appear on camera. You would just appear possibly on the display, and we would pick up your audio. But again, if you want to just communicate through the chat, that's fine. I'm open. Hold on just a moment. Oh, that's just group chat from within the from within the hangout. Okay. All right, so there's 3 people in the stream now. And I guess I'll go ahead and get things started. First of all, thank you all so much for joining me for this live stream and the second official PapaKenn's book club. In case you didn't hear it before or you weren't here to hear me say it, at the end of these book club streams, I will be doing a giveaway where you'll be able to possibly win a free audiobook, and that audiobook will be the next book club's audiobook. And just to give you an idea, let's see here, checking out the Wikipedia page. The next audiobook in this Doctor Who series is called The Nemonite Invasion. Strange name, not quite as catchy as Pest Control or The Forever Trap. But yes, the next one will be The Nemonite Invasion. And I mean, the fewer people that are actually in the book club, I guess it could work in your favor in that you're more likely to win if you do choose to enter. So the one thing is, if you do enter, you'll have to be sure and say so in the chat when I say, I'm going to start taking entries. But there you go. So as I was saying, let's go ahead and get things started. Now, again, I just want to say this for anyone currently watching that has not listened to The Forever Trap, which, by the way, is read by Catherine Tate, a.k.a. Donna Noble. Done quite well, by the way. And written by Dan Abnett. Abnett, yes. And it's done through Audible. There might be other sources that you can acquire the audiobook through. I'm not entirely sure of what the others might be, though. That's the one that I do know of, and again, can provide the free audiobook with. So let's get right into it. Click back over to... Oh, there's 4 people in here now. Hello, if you are watching. So, The Forever Trap, again, written by Dan Abnett and narrated by Donna Noble. No, wait. Narrated by Catherine Tate, a.k.a. Donna Noble, from the show and this audio drama. And I just want to say that between this audiobook and the previous one, Pest Control, which was narrated by David Tennant, I could listen to Catherine and David probably narrate about anything, and I would just vastly enjoy. I would enjoy it through and through. Because they both have really good deliveries. They have wonderful storytelling voices that just have made both of these audiobooks really enjoyable. And The Forever Trap, in some ways, I would actually say that Catherine Tate's reading is actually better than David Tennant's. In some ways, not in all ways, but there's certain aspects to it of which I'll definitely comment upon here in a few. Oh, Rose Who, hello and welcome to the stream. Since you're here, one thing I do want to ask is, have you had a chance to listen to The Forever Trap, the audiobook? And if so, would you like to join in on the Hangout and perhaps put in your own input as I'm going through it? Cameron Aminian. I apologize if I messed up your name, but hello and welcome to the stream. Like I just mentioned to Rose, if you have listened to the audiobook The Forever Trap, definitely let me know if you would be interested in joining the live stream, or rather joining the Hangout. It can be video if you like, or it can just be audio, and you can put in, provide some input of your own as we're going through. But rather than hold it back some more, I'll go ahead and comment a little bit more on really what I mean by, in some ways, Catherine Tate's reading I felt was superior to David's, but at the same time, in certain ways, not as good. I feel like I'm repeating myself over and over here. Yay for unstructured media. But the ways in which I feel she's superior in a way is that, number one, obviously, since she is the Donna Noble character, she is truly able to get across this vision that, of Donna Noble actually being there. In Pest Control, David Tennant did a good job, and he did very exaggerated, very boisterous voices to get across Donna when she's being, particularly, is rambunctious the right word? I don't know if it is or not. But overall, I felt that his portrayal of Donna, voice-wise, wasn't that great. Whereas, obviously, with Catherine Tate doing it, it was phenomenal. And then she's also, there's something about her, let's see, I have never listened to The Forever Trap, but hope to soon. Okay, awesome. Again, just so you know, there's definitely going to be spoilers here, although I'm going to be reviewing it. So if you want to avoid any spoilers before you check out the audiobook, unfortunately, I would say it's probably a good idea to go ahead and leave the stream, much as I hate to say that. But if you don't mind some spoilers, because seriously, hearing the book itself or hearing Catherine Tate deliver it herself is an experience. It's just an amazing experience. I guess I kind of gave away my thoughts on the book there. But again, if you're one of those that spoilers really, really bother you, then I completely understand if you leave the stream. But oh yeah, getting back to the reading styles, there's something about Catherine Tate's voice that, like, her reading voice is just so good. It's very warm and inviting, and I suppose just her regular speaking voice, or her reading voice, I guess you might say, is very much unlike the characters I've seen her play. I mean, Donna Noble, even when Donna is being very somber or very calm, she still has a certain tone to her voice that just, it's not there during the rest of the time that Catherine is reading this audiobook. But then again, although, as I was saying before, since David Tennant didn't do that great of a job with Donna, uh, Catherine at the same time kind of did a bit of a worse job in comparison when it came to voicing the Doctor. Now, overall, she did a perfectly fine job. She got a lot of the way the Doctor enunciates down, the way the Doctor will what's the right word here? But basically his tones and his inflections, she got those down. But what was missing is the speed of the 10th Doctor's speech. Now, obviously, he doesn't always talk like a machine gun going off, but, you know, there were times where he could get very energized and speak very fast in a way that almost makes your head spin. And we got that from David Tennant in Pest Control. But with Catherine Tate doing it this time, the energy was there, but not the speed of the speech. And the only reason it really bothered me is because I would hear Catherine Tate saying the line, and then I would sort of do this bit of, I don't know if you would call it decoding or almost a translation, where I would take what she just said, which is the speech of the Doctor, and then I would hear it again in my head as if it was being said by David Tennant. That seems really strange, but I actually ended up listening through this audiobook twice. Well, I guess maybe 3 times if you count a few spots where I sort of spot checked it to get a few ideas down. But that was one thing that I noticed sort of distracting me from the story, is that whereas it wasn't as much of an issue when it came to David reading the Donna's lines, when Catherine was doing it for David Tennant, without the energy there, or not the energy, but without the speed there of the speech, when the Doctor was getting really energized and really excited, it felt off to the point where, again, I had to sort of retranslate the voice in my head. Now, again, that probably sounds really weird and probably kind of stupid, but that's just, that's just my perspective on this. For any of you that have listened to the audiobook, let me know your thoughts. What did you think of Catherine Tate's performance here? What did you think of, well, just overall her narration of this audiobook? I for one, again, despite the fact that I kind of bashed a certain aspect of the reading, I thought she did an excellent job. And again, in some ways was actually rather superior to David Tennant, because it seemed like David Tennant would be able to get into that high energy that the Doctor portrays, but then it would just slightly seem a little bit hard. Like some characters spoke a little bit too fast, or like the back and forth between Donna and the Doctor would go by a little bit too fast. But again, that's just me. But moving on, another aspect of this audiobook that I really enjoyed, and especially as opposed to Pest Control, is that I felt like the story perfectly captured the Donna and Doctor relationship, the elements of their relationship. And they were definitely there in Pest Control, but the downside of that story was that Donna and the Doctor weren't really together for a significant portion of Pest Control. Whereas in the Forever Trap, there's just a very small segment where they're separated, but otherwise they're together pretty much the entire story. So the fact that they do spend so much more time together allows for more dialogue, more of that back and forth, more of that, probably overdone at this point, but at the time the book was made, wasn't really, but just that idea of people kept referring to them as a couple, and they just said, we're not a couple, or they're not married, or he's not my boyfriend, so along those lines. So yeah, I got more of that relationship that I really wanted from Pest Control, but again, because they were separated for such a significant portion of that story, just got left out, and got it definitely in spades with this episode. And I mean, and I guess it sort of goes back to Catherine Tate's reading, but her delivery of the lines as Donna just, they work perfectly. Again, obviously because she is Donna Noble, but there was something magical about it when they would have the back and forth dialogue, and Catherine Tate would throw in that bit of Donna sass that, you know, David Tennant tried to do previously, but just wasn't quite able to get it exactly right. Now, as for complete, I guess, more solid elements of this story, one thing that really caught my eye that I thought was just, it's not necessarily a new idea, but the way it was executed was the sentient spam mail viral marketing, or the viral transmission from the edifice, in the form of the salesman, who is also like the every other person supposedly that's supposed to work for the edifice. But that sentient spam mail viral marketing transmission, I found it to be really interesting. And as I was listening through it the first time, I thought that the story was going to go in a very different direction, because of the way the Doctor was talking about how these just get sent out to everywhere, trying to catch the right people, trying to trick people into accepting the viral marketing. And honestly, the way I thought that things were going to go was that the system that was creating this viral marketing was going to be the actual monster now, or the actual bad guy. Now, in the end, it kind of was, but we'll get to that in a minute. But as I was thinking about that, I started wondering, so if this is such a big issue with these sentient spam mails just being sent out to all corners of the universe seemingly, then how has the creators of this technology not essentially kind of taken over entire galaxies? Like, if used for true malice, like true evil, that kind of thing could cripple an entire galaxy easily. I mean, especially if it traps these people within this building, I guess you would call it, that seemingly has infinite floors, almost infinite space per floor. And Jill is, oh, okay. Jill's waving to me. She's going to get dinner while I'm doing this. And I guess she texted me too. But yeah, just the idea of that started to, on one hand, it actually made me start thinking, what if this is some sort of new plot by the Cybermen, or one of the other robotic type evils within the Doctor Who universe? The way it ended up going was rather unexpected for a few reasons, but yeah, I feel like almost sci-fi shows or sci-fi movies should almost try and use this idea more often. Again, I'm pretty sure I've seen something like it in the past, but this is the one time where it's really stood out to me the most. And I would love to see more shows, again, more sci-fi related things, do something along these lines and be creative with it. You see what they can do with that. I mean, just constant bombardment of spam mail, shall we say, or sentient spam mail. I mean, you could even go into a System Shock or System Shock 2 sort of direction with it. Those are, if you don't know, those are classic computer games that I won't go into much more detail on there. But if you have played either one, then you know what I'm talking about. But okay, so moving on from there, another one of the things that I loved about this audiobook was just the doctor's fascination and pure elation with seemingly silly things, and the way he would just react to the things going on around him. Now, obviously, the Doctor in general, that tends to be fairly normal, especially when Tennant was the Doctor. But in this story specifically, I think probably one of the things that made me laugh the most was when they were on, is it floor 141? I think that's right. Floor on 141, which I'll touch on more here in a bit. But when he hears them mention the neighbor association, like the 141 Neighbors Association, or whatever the actual term was, and he's just like, oh, brilliant. I get, like, things are going to hell, but you still just come together for the good of the neighbors. And I just, that's just one example of many from this episode where he's in awe and just going crazy. Oh, and the staircase, the infinite staircase, essentially, where he's gazing upon how everything works, and he's like a kid in a candy store while Donna's holding on to the rail, trying not to throw up and fall sideways, as it feels like she's going to do. But yeah, I just the Doctor's elation with all of these things that intrigue him. Another part of this that I loved, and it's part of what honestly makes me want to go back and rewatch some of the Doctor Who episodes when I get a chance, because I'm missing that right now. I'm like, these audiobooks are really making me miss the TV show right now. But moving on from there, one other thing that I liked, and and this is one of those things that I file into my stupid favorites as far as the audiobook goes, but the word floopy. And this came about, well, as I mentioned before, when they were on the infinite staircase and Donna was trying to, regain her composure, regain her, just trying to not be overwhelmed by what all is going on. And the Doctor was trying to think of the right word to describe it. And so you feel all floopy. And Donna Noble's like, is that a technical term? And I think the reason I love that so much is because it kind of reminds me of conversations that I have with my wife. It's like I'll either use words that I'm pretty sure are real, or I'll make up words and they sound ridiculous, and she'll just give me this look of, there's something wrong with you. And that's how I imagine Donna looking at the Doctor. But yeah, so floopy. I just loved it. Let's see, another aspect of this, I keep wanting to say this episode, but this audiobook, was the refugees. Because up until that point, things had been kind of creepy from time to time. Things had been a bit tense, especially when we didn't get to really see it, just so much as get described to us, but the neighbor that likes to eat people, there was there was that, and then a few other things that were questionable. But the refugees from however many floors down they came, saying that they had been going up those stairs, or traveling up, and probably taking some pit stops at floors from time to time, but they had been working their way up for 2 years. For 2 years. And that just, the way they were describing the story just baffled me. And it reached the point where, even as the Doctor said, the species that these were, which he never really said what the species were, I don't believe, but they were not aggressive species. They were not the kind of species that would try to kill anyone. And yet, after 2 years of hell and trying to escape the horrid the horribleness that is the lower floors, it drove them to not trust anyone that was not a part of their group. A group that originally started out at 200 and was whittled down to, was it like 5, 6, or 7? Basically, a very small group in comparison. And yeah, and they they were basically ready to attack the Doctor and Donna. Even the Doctor apparently got like one of their little makeshift spears through the shoulder of his coat, which I thought was kind of weird because I kept trying to picture the size of a spear it would need to be, because when I think of a spear, I think of something you know, as far as diameter goes, you know, probably about this, you know, a lot longer most likely, but you know, it has some, it's not just a twig, but the way it was described, and the Doctor essentially like pulls the part of a makeshift spear out of the shoulder of his coat. I was kind of like, how big was this thing? And how close was he to getting stabbed? Because apparently it was very close. But yeah, just the entire idea of those refugees was just incredibly interesting to me. And I don't know. I'm actually going to come back to a lot of these different side characters I'm going to mention later. But yeah, so the refugees were definitely a big part of this that I really liked, as short-lived as they were. Well, and I also want to mention, I actually should have mentioned this first because they come across these characters before the refugees, but the unnamed man alien and Zuzu, a small rat-like creature with pink pom-poms for ears, or at least on its head, I guess. And there's not really much for me to say about this one, but it was another one of those characters that I enjoyed it, and it's because of the way Catherine delivered the dialogue from this character. Just this very unsuspecting, you know, very seemed to be generally happy character walking his dog rat thing, whatever you want to call it, whatever it was. And there was something about the way when Catherine referred to the laugh, and also, well, just when she was speaking the character's dialogue, there was something about it that made me think of, I think the character's name is Boss Nass from the first Star Wars prequel. Not necessarily like visually described, but just the way that she was voicing the character, it just very much reminded me of that character. So I kept seeing a Boss Nass like character just kind of standing there and talking to them. It's hard for me to describe if you haven't seen the Phantom Menace of Star Wars, but yeah, that's basically the image I got in my head. But before I move on further, for anyone that is currently watching, I want to let you know that, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and officially open up the entries for the free audiobook giveaway that I will announce at the end of this video. And again, the next audiobook that we're going to be covering, and the audiobook you will get through Audible, oh no, my mouse isn't working. Here we go, is the Nemonite Invasion. It's the next book in these audio drama series, or, well, audiobook series. So you'll get that for free through Audible. And basically all I need you to do is, in the chat, is to write down I enter, and then I will write down your username and I will keep it on record here. And then at the end of the stream, I will do a random number generator. And if it falls on your number, then you will win the free audiobook. But also, if you were not in the stream earlier, I just want to say, if you have listened to the Forever Trap, and you would like to chip in any of your own thoughts, please let me know if you would like to join in on the Hangout. I can bring you in if you would like with video or just with audio. It's entirely up to you, but if you would like to join in on the Hangout and put in your own thoughts, definitely let me know in the chat, and I will take a moment to bring you in. But again, if you want to enter the free audiobook giveaway in the chat, all you have to do is say, "I enter," and I will write down your name. So there you go. And I'll actually go ahead and on my document here, make a little section here for people's names that might want to enter. There we go. All right. So moving on from there, talked about the refugees and the man and his pet Zuzu. Zuzu. Sorry. The next part I want to talk about is when they get to floor 141, which is when Donna and the doctor escape from the refugees that are starting to attack them, and they come across the Floor Neighbor Association. I really wish I had written down the name of the association, but basically they have the leader, seemingly, which is a man in a Hawaiian shirt, which is an interesting choice considering there's only one Hawaii. Well, I don't know. There may be multiple Hawaiis on other planets. It's hard to say. But just a strange choice, I guess. And seemingly maybe also a human. I don't know if they ever referred to that one as actually being a non-human or not. Interesting. I might actually go back and check that sometime. But then a few others within the neighborhood, and they find the doctor and Donna in one of these rooms where the family that was transported there was dead on the floor because they were water-breathing species. And unfortunately, the building doesn't really care whether or not you don't breathe air. So they died very quickly, and they thought that the doctor and Donna had killed these people. And just the entire, well, again, first of all, the doctor's fascination with their association, like bringing it together despite the fact that everything was going to hell. It was, that was a great part. But just the different personalities that were brought into this, which, I mean, we got that a few different times, like from the refugees and a couple other times, but it was really on floor 141 that we got to experience, I guess, all these different species coming together and forming an alliance, but a very distrusting alliance, but perhaps not as distrusting as the refugees, who were just ready to kill the doctor and Donna as soon as they got a little bit suspicious. But again, there did seem to be at least some order with the people of 141, despite the man in the Hawaiian shirt being, well, he wasn't trigger happy because he didn't just start shooting them, but very pushy and very, "You're going to," maybe it was actually this character that I pictured as Boss Nass, because of the, like, the sort of lisp almost that Catherine was using for the character. I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, the people of floor 141, and then what happens to them when I don't remember the soldier species that came out of the floor and starting attacking them. I don't remember what they were called, but that was just insane to me. That, I mean, first of all, we got this idea that, okay, these refugees are running from these war zones that are the lower levels, but then apparently, like, the war zones are already working their way up, and they got taken over by these particular creatures who had an holographic flag, apparently, which I thought was a interesting choice. Yeah, but so yeah, the people of floor 141, definitely a very cool aspect. One of many cool aspects of the different creatures that we got to meet along this story. And this actually falls within there, but when they show the doctor and Donna the card that they had received saying that the well, the dead aliens had arrived, not knowing that they were dead at that point, obviously, but, the two aliens and their son, the neighborhood needed to greet them. And Catherine's voice while reading the message is just so, it didn't even sound like her. It sounded like one of those just crystal clear voices you hear, almost kind of like a GPS, but like when you call into when you call into about any company and they have an automated system, they'll usually have this very clear, very neutral voice speaking. And when Catherine was doing that voice, it did not sound at all like her, because it was devoid of emotion, but at the same time, just there was just something about it that made it stand out to me so much. Again, it could just be the fact that it didn't sound like her entirely. It was a very different tone of voice. But moving on from there, my next favorite, maybe I should just call these discovering book clubs. I don't know, because I feel like I'm doing the favorites and the negatives. But one of my next favorite parts of this episode was the nanovores, and these small bugs, apparently, that just consume entire buildings and people. And I don't know. I mean, there have been bug species like this that have, kind of been introduced in what I've seen of Doctor Who so far. I don't think any of them were nanovores, though, to the best of my knowledge. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. But just the idea of these creatures that are apparently, well, I guess the closest I can compare it is when you see these cartoons that utilize locusts, like they always go with this extremely over-exaggerated version of locusts that, like, there's a swarm of them, they'll land in this one area, they'll be there for like 2 seconds, and they'll fly away, and everything's eaten away. And that's what that's essentially how I imagine these nanovores being, is that sort of exaggerated version. Thankfully not that fast, otherwise I'm pretty sure Donna and the Doctor would have been eaten up a little bit, since they were already sort of like getting in on them. But yeah, just the idea of the nanovores, I would love to see that either utilized more in the future audiobooks or the audio dramas, and possibly even, future episodes of Doctor Who, if they aren't already utilized in some of the classic Doctor Who, which I'll be starting a Discovering series on soon. Oh, moving on. What's the next part? Yes. Candy floss. Well, first of all, I just want to say, the word candy floss still just kind of cracks me up, because I think that's what we in the US call cotton candy. But candy floss, there's something about the word that just makes me laugh, because it seems so silly, although I'm sure cotton candy sounds just as silly, if not more so. But yeah, the smell of candy floss and the way that it's described from the moment that it's mentioned by the Doctor throughout the rest of the story is just, it's something again, thinking that it's supposed to be cotton candy, from my perspective, whenever I listened to those scenes, I actually got a very distinct, not really a smell, but like a memory of a smell going through my mind. And especially when the smell got super intense for reasons I'm about to mention, I think that has to be a combination of Catherine Tate's reading again, and also just some really good story writing. I feel like it was really well done in the end. And so yeah, the candy floss stood out to me, especially because of how it was utilized with the Ilk, which, that's another creature that I'm curious whether or not it has ever made an appearance on Doctor Who before, whether maybe through audio dramas or on the classic TV show, because I'm I don't believe it ever made an appearance on the new show or was ever even really mentioned. But the ilk as an entity in and of itself seems really bizarre and honestly rather frightening. And it actually, in my mind, it took on a few different forms almost as things progressed, because it went from, well, it was within this giant tube, and I was thinking just that murky water that it was in was the ilk as it was being described. But then later when Donna sees like the white figure pushing up against the glass, I was thinking maybe it's like almost a liquid skeleton, something, or not liquid exactly, but a something that's not quite solid, or it is solid, but it's like really squishy, almost like this, like a wet skeleton, I guess you might say, a spongy skeleton, I guess is what I had pictured in my mind. But then when it finally does get revealed, it essentially seems like the Blob. And by the Blob, I mean not the X-Men, the Blob, but this. There was this movie that I saw on. It was either on an old sci-fi show or maybe it was Mystery Science Theater 3000, and there was just this big, massive white. I think they just called it the Blob, that would glow and fluctuate and bulge, and I kind of had that in my mind, just not. In that older movie, it just kind of laid on the floor, didn't move, just kind of fluctuated every now and then. But this, in my mind, what this was more of like all of that mashed together into this, like a heap of the Blob, I guess you might say. But then also the ilk's abilities. Now the whole feeding on emotions deal, that's. I almost feel like they could have gone a bit of a better direction with that, but it's an element that has been used before with a lot of different creatures, both in fantasy and sci-fi. So, yeah, I don't have any issues with that. It's I would say it's more the way that the creature got destroyed that is probably the best part about that. But then also, going back to the candy floss, whenever it was mentioned in the story that the pungent aroma of candy floss intensified, and that's when the ilk was using its psychic powers, I suppose, or its telekinesis to hurt the doctor. And I don't know, I found that truly interesting. Oh, and the fact that it was able to talk essentially in their heads. It was so loud and booming that Donna tried to cover her ears, but then when she did that, it spoke again and she could still hear it. And the idea of that, excuse me, it intrigues me. And I would honestly kind of like to experience that somehow, if it were at all possible. But what else? But yeah, as far as the rest with the ilk, if it hasn't been utilized elsewhere in Doctor Who, it's another creature in addition to the Nanivores that I would like to see more of. I would like to see the ilk in physical form. I would like to see them, well, whether it's a comic book or on TV. But if they're supposed to be this ancient, stubborn species, I would love to see Peter Capaldi or whoever comes next as the Doctor take them on, because again, it's one of those really intriguing creatures that I think a lot could be done with. Now that brings us to essentially the finale or the climax of the story, and it's when Donna gives the ilk indigestion. Which, the fact that the Doctor put it that way still cracks me up. But she just got so mad, and it was one of those perfect encapsulations that even if it wasn't Catherine Tate reading the story, knowing that it was Donna Noble, I would have been able to perfectly picture the tone she was saying these things in, the force with which she was saying them, the look on her face, and honestly, in fact, I almost feel like Catherine held back a little bit during this scene. There were a few lines where I feel like she held back because they almost should have been like it should have been gruffer or louder or more emphasized. But yeah, it's just that entire section where she gives this ilk indigestion by not portraying, hate. That part is actually questionable to me because I did sense some hate in the voice, but I mean, by just voicing this pure disgust toward this creature and what it's done, it was an emotion that it couldn't digest, and it made it sick. And I love that idea. I love that they went that direction with it. Now, admittedly, when the doctor kind of caught Donna's attention and was talking to her, I thought that seemed like a moment where, I don't know, the doctor could have, or not the doctor, but the ilk probably would have voiced, not voiced in. I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up here, but the ilk would have possibly tried to attack again, but it didn't. It just sort of like waited in between. Maybe it was the indigestion paralyzing it temporarily, but overall, just that segment of the story I thought was great. And it looks like we have another new viewer in here. Hello, James U 1990. Hello, and welcome to the live stream. We're a good portion of the way through the book club review here for The Forever Trap. But since you're here, first of all, I have already opened entries for an audio, basically to win a free copy of the next book club's audiobook, which is going to be, I still cannot remember the name of the episode because it's kind of strange, but the Nemonite Invasion, which is the third story in the in this particular audiobook series. And you will get that as a free copy through Audible, whether you have an Audible account or not. And yeah, if you would like to enter that, just feel free to, in the chat, say I enter, and I will put you into the listings. There are no entries so far. So, unless some more people come in and decide they want to enter, you may automatically win. I work forever, dude, all day, every day. Forgot you were streaming. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. No worries. But because, believe me, I'm actually thinking that I might need to look at a different time or possibly a different day to do these streams, or to do the book club, to allow for more people to hopefully join. But yeah, there's that. In addition, if you have had a chance to listen to the Forever Trap and you would like to join in and perhaps voice your opinion, let me know, and I can invite you to the Hangout. And, we can have a little bit of conversation, and you could, just give me your feedback as to the audiobook and what's going on. So again, if you want to enter the giveaway, say I enter. And also, if you want to join the Hangout, let me know. Oh, Carlos, awesome. Hello, I'm glad you were able to make it. Found out my library has the Doctor Who audiobooks. I don't know if they'll have all the ones you'll do in the future, but they have the ones you've done so far. Okay, that's good to know. At the end of this stream, I'll go ahead and say it right now. As far as what audiobook is going to be, the next one is going to be the Nemonite Invasion. And I'll actually type it here into the chat. Or actually, better yet, I will send the wiki page. That way you can see that. So this is going to be the next book club audiobook, the Nemonite Invasion. Okay, good. That's been sent to chat. As far as the date goes, I was going to set up a scheduled date at the end of the stream. So if you're able to, hang around, I will be sure to post that and let you all know when the next one will be. But otherwise, I'll mention it on the social medias. But there you go. If anyone is, again, interested in checking out the Nemonite invasion, there's some information on it. So you don't know about your schedule. You have so much in the backlog these days. It's going to take you ages to get things in order. Being ill and having a life, that's not allowed. That is true. That is true. Having a life and me getting sick definitely does tend to get in the way. But I actually am the only thing I actually don't have a current backlog on right now, as far as recorded videos, would be Game of Thrones. So once I get some extra episodes recorded of that, I will have a backlog, and once I can get those edited, it's going to go a lot smoother. So I feel like we're going in a good progression there, which, fingers crossed, is going to go well. But again, Carlos, in case you weren't in here when I mentioned it, if you want to enter the giveaway for the free audiobook, say "I enter" in the chat. And if you want to join in here on the Hangout and discuss with me some of your favorites or favorite parts about the story, or just even a little bit of general banter about it, let me know and I will send you an invite and you can join me. It doesn't have to be video. It can also just be audio. Entirely up to you. But I'll leave that there. I'll check back in the chat here in just a few, and I will continue on with my last few favorite parts, or just some of the positives, the aspects, or some of the aspects about this story that I really enjoyed. Following up the indigestion aspect, the next part, it's a simple little quote, and I guess you could say it's maybe the quote of the book for me, as silly as it may seem. But when the doctor says, well, after they get rid of the ilk, and the doctor says, "What did you do?" Just very impressed, and sort of giving her a bit of an ego boost. She's like, "Oh, yelled a lot, lost a shoe." Just for some reason, that line, "yelled a lot, lost a shoe," and it being Donna Noble, it was so perfect. And that was a line that stuck out to me after the first time I listened through the audiobook, but is also, like, when I heard it the second time, it made me crack up because, again, of how much it stuck out for me and how I remembered that line in particular. So, yeah, it's a silly one, but yelled a lot, lost a shoe, definitely something about the story that I really enjoyed, especially as we were drawing to the end. Now, story-wise, there really wasn't much left, but two more elements about the audiobook that I really liked was that, first of all, the short-lived characters, again, the refugees, what was the one, the old lady with antenna from the Doctor and Donna's Floor, anyway, the nice old lady, but basically all of these short-lived characters, to me, it felt like they really had meaning. They had purpose of being there. For however short amount of time they were there, they made an impact on me as the listener. I would say the reader, but it's not an actual book. But it's like, yeah, all these short-lived characters have an impact on the story, and it feels like them being there has true meaning, which I kind of drew a comparison to some of the short-lived or one-off characters from some of the Doctor Who TV episodes, especially, and I know me saying this might annoy some people, but especially from Matt Smith's run on the show on. There have definitely been some times where characters come along and they're just kind of there. And even, again, like, there'll be one-off characters for that episode, but they don't really make enough of an impact to be worth remembering. They're just kind of there, and 9 times out of 10 they die. But yeah, it's like all these minor characters, even if I don't remember their names, like I have a picture in my mind of who they are, and they are memorable for me, which is why I mentioned so many of them in particular. So yeah, I loved that aspect of this story, because even with the previous one, Pest Control, there were a lot of different side characters, but even thinking back, and again, I listened to that story twice over, there was only maybe a few characters that really felt like, or side characters that really felt like they stood out to me, because the rest just for the most part, they kind of blended in to each other. It's like, all the centaur characters kind of reminded me of the rest of the centaur characters. The rest of the soldiers, with the possible exception of the one Donna took a liking to, whose name I can't remember, they were all kind of the same. It just seemed kind of, in a way, all the side characters were just sort of a part of a general army crisis episode, whereas this one just had these individual characters that stuck out a lot. And then, looks like we have one more message. Makes you want to watch Series 4 again, doesn't it? Before Moffat began trolling us in circles. Honestly, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have enjoyed the stories that Moffat has brought us. I've enjoyed his run on the show for the most part, but it does make me want to go back and rewatch Donna's run as the companion on the show. Really, I might actually, who knows, at some point I might do a marathon and just go through a bunch of the old episodes just for fun. So I had the sudden need earlier to watch Turn Left. That was an amazing episode. Yes, Turn Left is a great episode. I think you've convinced me. I might actually go through and rewatch Season 4 or Series 4, whatever you prefer, sometime rather soon. Definitely have to get through some of the stuff for the Discovering series coming up, but Series 4 of Doctor Who is definitely going to be on my list. Now, as for the final element that I found really interesting was the fact that whenever something was wrong, people kept referring to, you should call the super. You should call the super. He'll fix anything. You just call him with the call button. And every time it was brought up, it's like, where is the call button? I don't know. And the only people that really seemed to concern was the Doctor and Donna. Like, everyone else was just kind of like, whether or not they actually enjoyed being there, they were just kind of like, oh, that is strange, isn't it? I don't know where it is. That was just such a weird element to have as part of the story. The fact that they kind of did find the call button in the elevator, or I'm sorry, the lift, was, I'm glad that finally got resolved, but I'm curious where everyone got this notion that, you should call the super with the call button. When, I don't know, unless it was part of maybe the contract that they read before entering, and that's the only reason, and that's the reason why Donna and the Doctor didn't know about calling the super. I don't know, that just seems like at least the slightest bit of a plot hole, but at the same time, I found it very interesting. Now, apart from that, or those are all of, again, my favorites, my most positive aspects of this story. I'm sure there are a lot more. Let's see here. I got another message here in chat. Turn Left has the most important thing about time travel in it, cause and effect, something we don't get these days. Oh yeah, that is very true. That is definitely true. But I'm going to try and not think about Turn Left right now, focusing on the Forever Trap. And okay, we have 6 people in here now. So before I move on and just kind of mention some of the parts that, did bother me about this audiobook, let me say 2 things. I know I've repeated this several times for people that have been in here for a while, but first of all, if you would like to enter a giveaway for a free audiobook for the next audiobook that we'll be going over for PapaKenn's book club, which is The Nemonite Invasion. And it's the third book in the audiobook series I'm currently going through. I will reshare the link for it right here. But if you would like to enter a giveaway for a free copy of that, it'll be through Audible. It doesn't matter if you already have an account or not, because I will be sending you that audiobook through their service. All you got to do is in chat, write, I enter, and then I will take down your name and I will add it to the list, which is currently completely empty. So if only one person enters, guess what? You pretty much win by default. But, you know, if you would like to enter and get that free audiobook, and again, these audios with Doctor Who right now, they max out, I think, anywhere from 2.5 to 3 hours. So you could easily get through that in a day, probably, if you wait until almost the last minute. So it wouldn't really be a huge deal, you know, if you waited until, again, it's like, you know, right before the next PapaKenn's book club. But again, if you want to win that, please just write I enter into the chat, and I'll write you down. Second of all, oh, right, the Hangout. If you would like to come into the Hangout here on the stream and talk a little bit about what you've liked about the Forever Trap, if you did get a chance to listen to it, I will invite you into the Hangout and we can have a bit of a discussion. You know, it can be video chat if you would like, or it can just be audio, and you know, they'll just have my ugly mug here on the screen the entire time while we're talking. But okay, and if you want to do that, just leave a message in the chat again, and I'll add you. But again, thank you everyone that is currently in the chat. Hi Charlie, how you doing? But okay, getting into some of the parts about this story that they didn't necessarily bother me. They just kind of left me thinking, what? This one I didn't write down, but I did mention it earlier. The makeshift spears that the refugees tried to attack the Doctor and Donna with, and again, it says the Doctor pulls a piece of, or one of the makeshift spears out of the shoulder of his coat. Is like, my problem here is like, when I think spear, whether it's a makeshift spear or not. Hello, Charlene Hale. Welcome to, or Hale or Hall? Hi, Charlene Hall. Welcome to the stream. Well, I'll mention this again here in a minute, just to give you a little bit of an update as to what you can possibly do. But the one annoyance is, when I think of a spear, I think of something, you know, at least this big, as far as, not in length, obviously, but like something in size, being able to attack someone with. So if one of them managed to like pierce the Doctor's coat, it's like, I don't understand how he didn't have a hole through his actual shoulder and not just his coat, unless these are just the tiniest makeshift spears in creation. It just it just seems ridiculous. So yeah, that's one problem I had with this story. Maybe they didn't think that through all the way. But before I get to my other downsides of the Forever Trap, just to let you know, Charlene Hall, two things. If you have had a chance to listen to the audiobook, The Forever Trap, and you would like to join me here on the Hangout, Magical Gallifreyan coat, that's a good possibility. But if you would like to join me here on the Hangout, let me know, and I can send you an invite, and you can let me know, me and the others watching, some of your thoughts on the story. It doesn't have to be video. It can if you have a webcam, or it can just be audio if you have a microphone handy. But also, if you would like to win a free audiobook for the next PapaKenn's book club, let me know. Just say I enter in the chat, and the book you'll be entering to win is the Nemonite Invasion, which is the next audiobook in the series I'm currently going through. And even though I already shared it just a minute ago, I will share the link again, just so you can have an idea. Excuse me. So yeah, there are current, as I've already mentioned, there are no entries so far for this giveaway. So anyone can still win. Charlene, if you would like to possibly win the audiobook, and it'll be done through the website Audible. You don't have to already have an account. It's I'll be sending it to you, and then things can get worked out from there. But just say I enter in the chat, and this goes for any of you currently watching, well, in the actual live stream. But yeah, if only one person enters, that person's going to win the giveaway. If no one enters, I'll just have to think of a different way. All right, Charlene enters. Excellent. So finally have the first entry into the giveaway. Charlene Hall, thank you for entering the giveaway. I will write that down. And I'm going to give an idea as for a tentative date for the next book club at the end of the stream, just so you can have an idea of when. But I say tentative because there's a chance that the time that I start these streams might not be ideal for the other viewers. So I'll take some suggestions as far as dates and times. So there we go. But okay, so we have the first entry, thankfully. Now, my second, just kind of what, as far as this book goes, the doctor refers, he says Eddie in the beginning. It's like the TARDIS is going through, I guess, some very heavy time stream turbulence, and he says Eddie. It's an Eddie time. Or no, a time eddy. And, you know, in hindsight, I probably should have tried looking this up before the stream, but what is an eddy? Or is that some sort of slang for a storm or what? Because I have never heard the word eddy in reference to turbulence or anything like that before. It's very confusing to me, and I'm sure probably makes me seem a little bit ridiculous to people that might know what it is. But again, it's like, Eddie? This is literally the first time I've heard that term that being used in a way that wasn't someone's name. So yeah, there's just the general confusion there was an annoyance slash what as far as the Forever Trap goes. And then, well, I did mention this at the beginning of the stream, but I'll go ahead and mention it again. Probably one of the only things about Catherine Tate's narration and performance of this for me was that her lines where she was reading, or when she was reading the 10th Doctor's lines, it just didn't feel as convincing as when the Doctor was, or I'm sorry, when David Tennant was doing it. Now again, David Tennant was the Doctor. He knew his execution. He knew his pace. He knew the speed at which he talked. And it was basically flawless when it came to him. And Catherine Tate did get his inflections down. She got a lot of elements of his speech down, but when he would get sorry, I'll get back to it in just a second. When it came to the Doctor getting it really energized or really hyped up, you know, if you've seen Tennant's seasons, you know that he can start talking really fast and he just almost becomes a whirlwind of words in a way. That just didn't really come across with Catherine Tate's reading, which I think only bothered me more when the old lady Edie, or their neighbor from the floor that they moved into, came in and Catherine started voicing her. Because to me, Edie sounded like Ten, but even more higher pitched and faster than David Tennant actually says his lines. But she was able to do that with Edie, so it confused me as to why she didn't, go for that speed or that energy as often when she was reading the doctor's lines. It does kind of bother me that she didn't do that. But overall, Catherine Tate's performance as the narrator of the story, absolutely amazing. It was just that tiny element that I wish had been a little bit better. Let's see, what did we say in the chat here from James? Eddy, synonyms: swirl, whirlpool, vortex, maelstrom. Okay, so it was almost like a whirlpool in the time stream, or a vortex, essentially. Okay, all right, so I learned something new. Thank you very much for that, James. I learned something new. Yay. But again, those are all of my really annoyances. If you're watching this afterward and you have had a chance to, listen to the Forever Trap, or you've listened to it before, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it in the comments down below. But as for closing this up, as a whole, I honestly have to say I prefer the Forever Trap over Pest Control. Pest Control was really good, really well written, and David Tennant's narration performance was just awesome. It was, I would say, nearly flawless in many ways. Just for some reason, although seemingly I have some issues with the way Catherine Tate did it, the way she read the story overall and just the writing of it feels stronger to me. So yeah, I feel like the Forever Trap is a really, really good audiobook. If you haven't listened to it yet, I highly recommend it. I will include a link to it on Audible in the description of this video when it goes onto YouTube after I've had a chance to edit it down. And or if I don't edit it down, it'll be down there. But yeah, I mean, between the two, I highly recommend giving both of them a chance, but the Forever Trap is definitely the stronger of the two, in my opinion. And honestly, and after having both of these books, it has me excited to get into the audio dramas from Big Finish that have David Tennant and Catherine Tate, because both of them voicing their own characters, and then I guess other people actually. It's not going to be in audiobook form. Those are going to be an actual audio drama. It has me so excited to get into those, which it'll be down the line. But all right, that's all I have to say about the Forever Trap. If anyone currently in the stream has had a chance to listen to the audiobook, please do let me know your thoughts on it here in the chat while we're live. Otherwise, again, if you're watching this afterward on YouTube, leave it in the comments. And this is going to be my final call for entries to the giveaway. So far we have one entry, and that is Charlene Hall. So I'm going to give you all a couple of minutes to say I enter, if you would like, again, to have a chance to get the audiobook for the next book club episode. And while I'm waiting for those to come in, I think now is as good of a time as any to start figuring out the time for the next book club meeting. So let's see here. Looking at October, again, I'm looking at trying to make this a once-a-month deal, if at all possible. So if we're looking into October, if we go with a Friday date again, I would say the 28th might be a good time to give that a try. Again, that would be Friday, October 28th. For now, I would say that 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is when I started this one, would still be the ideal time for me to start the stream. But I would also like to get some input from you all in the stream. Let me know if a different day actually works better for you, if you would prefer for the live stream to occur or I'm sorry, the book club to occur on the weekend, either on Saturday or Sunday. As far as trying to figure out the time goes, I know some of the time zones can be kind of crazy. A lot of the people that watch my Doctor Who videos are over in the UK, or just, over. You all are time travelers, and you're at least 6 hours ahead of me. So, 6 o'clock may not work great, but on Fridays, I get off. I have to take into account the fact that, I have my full-time job. So if you would prefer a time on the weekend, definitely let me know, whether it be a Saturday. If possible, try and convert your time over to Central Standard Time through Google. But I would say for now, the tentative time and date for the next book club stream will be October 28th, Friday, October 28th at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. If that does get changed from viewer input, from anyone sending me comments or tweets, I will definitely let you all know. I will let you know through the different social medias, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And then also, I might do a quick announcement saying when the confirmed date is. Talking to you from the future, timey-wimey time zones. Yes, exactly. And by the way, for any of you that are actually here watching, it's easily past midnight your time, probably past 1 o'clock. And thank you for taking the time to join in. I know you would probably rather be sleeping. The tentative time. Nice one, Carlos. Nice one. But yeah, okay. So again, for the time being, it will be Friday, October 28th at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And whether I confirm that time or I confirm a different time, I will be sure to let you all know. So again, Carlos, James, Carlos, why did you have to? But as I was saying, Carlos, James, anyone else currently watching in the live stream, if you would like to enter and possibly win the audiobook for the next episode, again, this is completely free. I want you to say "I enter" in the chat. So I'm going to give you all 1 minute. My clock currently says 7:28. When it gets to 7:29, I'll cut off the entries. If no more have come in, Charlene will have won. If you want to have a 50-50 or maybe even a 33% chance, enter now. Oh, but I'm glad I was able, at the very least, even though no one was able to join in the Hangout, I am happy that I was able to get the Hangout working, because it worked out so much better than what I was trying to do last time. And it's a lot simpler, too. I might try and use OBS again sometime in the future with trying to do these streams. But for the time being, especially in, trying to get some people to come in and participate, the Google Hangout definitely seems the way to go. All right, final countdown. 5, 3, 2, 1. No more entries have come in. So Charlene, congratulations. You have won the, not the Forever Trap, the Nemonite Invasion, which will be our next audiobook for the next episode of PapaKenn's Book Club. Congratulations. And just so I can make sure to get your information, please do send me an email. Excuse me. Send me an email with your name and, I'll get your email address, so that works. But just be sure to send me an email to papakennmedia@gmail.com. I will type it in here real quick just so you have it. PapaKenn. There you go. Yes, okay, it did show up since I'm the moderator, obviously. But yeah, Charlene, definitely do send me an email and let me know. Well, just I guess just any general information, or if you have any feedback that you'd like to leave, feel free to leave that in the email as well. But once I get your email address and your info, I will be sure to send you your free audiobook so we can get prepared for the next episode of the PapaKenn Book Club. Ruby, hello. Well, glad you were able to make it in, even though it is right at the end of the stream. I did get, I assume this package is from you. I wasn't able to find a name on it, I believe, but it says on the outside, sweets and chocolate. So I did, in fact... yep, no names. So I did, in fact, get your package. Haven't opened it yet. I'm saving that for a video I'm going to be filming here in the next couple of days over the weekend. But thank you very much for sending that. I am very worried about trying that Marmite. I'm not going to lie. But again, thank you so much for sending that. It really means a lot. And you can definitely expect there to be a snack-in episode revolving around Marmite. Shuddering just at the thought of it. But again, one more time, I want to say to Charlene, thank you for entering and congratulations. Oh, I forgot to put your name on it. I think there's a post-it. Okay. That's good to know. Sweets in there too. Awesome. But again, Charlene, congratulations on winning that. I'll be looking forward to getting your email so that I can send you your free audiobook. Let's see, checking on the chat here one last time. Oh yeah, I finally got the damn thing that was taking so long. So hopefully in the next few days, I'll be sending something out your way. Awesome. Definitely looking forward to that as well, James. Thank you. Thank you all so much. To anyone that has sent out anything to the P.O. box for potential snack-in episodes. Definitely looking forward to trying out some of these sweets. It'll be sweet. I'm not sure if I'm more awkward there. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit tired right now. But thank you all so much. I can't wait for Marmite snack-in. I'm sure you can't wait. But go ahead and wrap this up. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the PapaKenn Book Club. I really did enjoy The Forever Trap. Again, highly recommend the book if you haven't had a chance to check it out already. But I will be looking forward to doing the next book and getting it started, which again is the Nemonite Invasion. And I'll include all of this when I re-upload the video to YouTube later. Be the Nemonite Invasion, and it will be on October 28th at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, tentative schedule. If any of you all would like for it to be, yeah, thanks, James. But if any of you all think that a different time would work better, either maybe later on Friday, or well, unfortunately can't do earlier on Friday because of work, or if you would prefer it to be on the weekend and earlier in the day, since 6 o'clock is pretty late, especially if you live out in the UK and eastward of there. Just let me know your thoughts. Feel free to send those thoughts to me on Twitter, on Facebook, in the comments after this goes up as just a full video, and we'll get everything sorted out. But one last time, thank you all so very much. I love doing this. Hopefully next time some people will be able to join in and give their thoughts on it as well. But I just really look forward to doing this again, and I'm glad that some of you all were able to join in, and hopefully this will continue to grow and become more of a thing as we move into not only audiobooks, but possibly some regular books as well, that ideally would have audiobook availability if you would prefer that. Comic books, possibly, just all kinds of different media. I would love to just try all different kinds of media on this book club. Might actually just call it the media club, but I'm sticking with book club for now. But okay, everyone, have a wonderful weekend. I hope you have glorious weather. And if you don't have glorious weather, then play lots and lots of video games, because that is what I would like to do. But the weather here is going to be nice, so I'm probably going to end up being active. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you later. Bye.